One of my favourite characters in all of Ninjago comes from its earliest seasons. He wasn't someone destined for greatness, he was once just a simple little blacksmith. This is Kai. Today I'm going to tell you his story, and why he and his arc makes him Ninjago's first great character. Kai is the first character we get introduced to in the world of Ninjago. Kai is rash, impulsive, and hot-headed. These traits change over time, but in the pilot in Season 1, these were what I would call his core traits. From the start, we see exactly who Kai is. He screws up forging a sword due to impatience, and ignores Nia's advice on how he can improve it. Kai has dreams of being a great blacksmith. He has ambition, but not necessarily the experience to back it up. Kai's first meeting with Master Wu goes pretty poorly. Wu insults Kai, and Kai insults Wu right back. Wu calls attention to how Kai's metal is loud and clunky, saying it's useful to slow one down. Wu soon gets proven right when Kai's samurai armor and fighting inexperience leads him to lose against Samukai, and for Nia to be captured by Garmadon. I think that these introductory scenes provide someone that we can root for, but it's still clear that Kai has plenty of room to grow. Kai learns about Wu's fight with Garmadon over the golden weapons, and learns that Wu entrusted his father to hide a map. As Kai's training begins, we get to a fantastic scene, the training montage. The training montage is one of the show's best early scenes to me. It's got plenty of humour and fun, but it also demonstrates Kai's dedication to hone his skills and his want to save Nia. The humour primarily comes from Kai's inexperience and the slapstick that ensues from that. But as the scene goes on, we watch him get more and more competent at the course, and we laugh at him less. We get to see Kai grow into his role and become a pretty cool ninja within a short period of time. Hell, he even manages to one-up Wu at the very end. He's no longer just the butt of the joke. These early scenes are effective because they trim any potential fat while still being light, fun, and characterful. We understand Kai's motivation and who this guy is. The rest of the pilot also does a great job at building up Kai's character and his arc. Once he meets the other ninjas, they go to work on their first mission, and we see that Kai is the most impatient and least willing to work as a team. This is likely down to him being the newest member of the team, but is also rather prickly personality and his want to just rush ahead. He rushes into the caves ahead of the others and ends up using the Scythe of Quake to escape the Earth Dragon. This is despite him being told not to several times. Wu scolds Kai for putting himself before the team. I like this scene, but there's no obvious consequences for Kai using the Scythe of Quakes. The pilot has a tendency to tell rather than show when it comes to the consequences to Kai's actions. The next stage in Kai's arc is arguably what the entire pilot has been building towards, the Fire Temple. The Fire Temple acts as a test for Kai's journey so far. He gets lured into the temple by Garmadon and has to use his skills to get the Sword of Fire and save Nia. Despite Kai's growth, he can't beat the Shadow Garmadons. Wu saves him again, but this time there are consequences to Kai's mistakes. In order to avoid uniting the four weapons, Wu sacrifices himself by going to the underworld with the Sword of Fire. Kai shows a willingness to sacrifice himself in Wu's place, and admits to how he shouldn't have come alone. This is the completion of Kai's arc in the pilot. He's willing to work in a team and voluntarily becomes a protector of Ninjago during the final scene. One trait I want to pick up on during this portion of the plot is Kai's willingness to let Wu fight Samukai alone. Whilst I don't consider Kai a particularly honourable person, I think he has a degree of emotional intelligence, realising that this is a personal fight which the group shouldn't interrupt. Season 1 marks a turning point for both Kai and the Ninjago franchise as a whole. Season 1 did not have a single character as a focal point for the season. Instead, it focused on different characters every few episodes. The writers get to flesh out the ninja and explore their pasts, personalities, and fears. Kai is rarely the focal character in these episodes early on in the season. He does get little scenes sprinkled throughout, mainly to show off how he's interested in becoming the Green Ninja. All of the ninja are interested in who will get this legendary role, however Kai seems to view it as even more important. He seems to be the one to set up challenges to decide who should be the Green Ninja, and he seems to be the one to fixate on this role a lot. When Wu explains true potential, we get to see how each of the ninja develop both emotionally and in their abilities. Unlocking your true potential is about overcoming obstacles within yourself that hold you back. For Cole, it was fixing his relationship with his dad. For Zane, it was understanding and accepting his past. I love how this is used for character exploration. It provides an external incentive to the character's emotional development. Plus it prevents the episodes from feeling too repetitive or stale. So what are Kai's inner obstacles? I would say that his insecurity in his identity and his desire for greatness are his two biggest obstacles. Kai has a massive amount of insecurity in his own identity and who he is. His obsession with unlocking his true potential and being the Green Ninja highlights how he doesn't like his current self. He's always supportive of the other ninja when they're unlocking their true potential, but by the time Cole's unlocked his, it's clear that Kai is desperate to unlock his own. Whilst this desperation is mainly played for comedy, it's clear it does mean a lot to him. This desperation comes to a conclusion in episode 10, The Green Ninja, where Kai's ego is tested and torn down again and again and again. He's suspicious around Garmadon's motives for helping out the ninja team. This ends up making him both more paranoid and more confrontational. This is not helped by Garmadon, stirring the pot further to frustrate him. Kai's obsession with the Green Ninja causes him to spy on Nia and Wu. After they test to see if she's the Green Ninja, Garmadon busts Kai for snooping. Nia doesn't care about who the Green Ninja is. She didn't even want to be the Green Ninja due to how Kai was acting. She's secure in her identity. But Kai is not. I think this contrast demonstrates how Kai's still struggling to find his place in the team, and he feels like he's being left behind. I don't think that Kai only cared about being the Green Ninja because he wanted cool elemental powers. He's feeling insecure about his own identity, and wanted to fit in with the rest of the team. This is Kai at his absolute lowest. Kai's voice actor, Vincent Tong, really sells his desperation here. Kai's clawing at anything to maintain his ego, and he ends up making a fool of himself. Due to his suspicions around Garmadon, Kai stupidly tries to pick a fight with him while he's wielding all 4 golden weapons. While this is brave, it is also incredibly reckless. He locks himself in a room to fight, assuming that if he defeats Garmadon, this will unlock his true potential. Once the others find Kai, we learn that Garmadon wasn't attempting to steal the weapons, and we see just how desperate Kai's become. Wu even worries that Kai will end up hurting people if he unlocks his true potential at this point. Kai's messed up so badly that even his friends don't trust him with elemental powers. The way I interpret it, Kai's got an incredibly fragile sense of self-worth and feels that the only way that he can validate himself is to become this mythical Green Ninja. He's basically deluding himself into thinking he's the main character of the Green Ninja prophecy. Eventually, the group find themselves in the volcano on their way to get the final Fang Blade and rescue Lloyd. Everyone other than Kai is able to hold their own against the Serpentine, but Kai has nothing. He relies on the Sword of Fire, causing the entire area to become unstable. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is exactly the same thing he was told not to do in the pilot. Kai becomes laser focused on getting the final Fang Blade, risking his life to get it, and trying to unlock his true potential. Now, sometimes Kai does have an inflated sense of importance. We see multiple times how reckless he can be to achieve his goals, especially now and during the pilot. This inflated sense of importance, mixed with his insecurities about his identity, might be what makes becoming the Green Ninja into such an obsession for him. The rest of the team get blocked off from the volcano. Kai is just inches away from the final Fangblade, and then he hears Lloyd. Lloyd is trapped on a small rock in the volcano. Kai must choose between Lloyd and the Fangblade. I don't think anyone thought Kai would choose the Fangblade, but it's still nice to see that moment of contemplation before he rescues Lloyd. Throughout this entire season, Kai wanted to prove he was good enough to be the Green Ninja. But I think that after getting his ego beaten down over and over, he finally figured it out. He was never going to be the Green Ninja. He wasn't being trained to become the Green Ninja, he was being trained to protect him. I think that it's only now, after Kai lets go of his pride, that he realizes that Lloyd was the chosen one all along. It's only now, once Kai has accepted this fact, that he unlocks his true potential, flying out of the volcano and bringing Lloyd to safety. This was honestly a massive step for Kai as a character and Ninjago as a whole. From this moment on, even if the other ninjas still have a big focus, we watch as Kai passes the torch on to Lloyd to become the main protagonist and the mascot of the series. After this point, Kai gets significantly less limelight, but once Wu gets eaten by the Great Devourer, it's Kai who organizes the team, and it's Kai who gives the speech to inspire them. In terms of a conclusion to his arc, I think that's a pretty sweet way to end things. Kai's arc is pretty simple, and it's basically complete by the time he unlocks his true potential, but I think that's completely fine. Ninjago was still very early in its lifespan, and I think that Season 1 was really where the foundation of each ninja was set in stone. You can see the writers experimenting with what kinds of stories they want to explore with these characters. By the end of the pilot, it's clear that Kai was learning to be part of a team. He was still impatient and pretty hot-headed, but it was clear that Wu's teachings were beginning to stick. By the time the ninja group are fighting the Great Devourer, Kai is far more confident in his place in the team, and has a lot more patience and wisdom than he did at the start. His arc does what it sets out to do. He's a changed character by the end of Season 1, but he's still distinctly Kai. Kai's always stuck out to me as one of my favourite characters, and I think in many ways he peaked rather early. His struggle with accepting that he's not the chosen one, and his impatience and his frustration, it's all really relatable stuff, both as a kid and now that I've grown older. Kai desperately wants to fit in with the others. He wants to unlock his true potential, but his ego and his desperation cause him to be more of a hindrance rather than a help. It's a surprisingly personal and unique story about a Lancer realizing he's not the chosen one, and he's okay with that. Kai doesn't always get treated right in this series. I think at some point he ended up becoming a caricature of his past self, with many of his character traits flanderized. But he does have his fantastic moments, and this arc is one of them. I truly think he deserves the title of one of Ninjago's greatest characters. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been wanting to make more media and character analyses videos, so hopefully I can do more of that in future. There's plenty more I'm wanting to discuss on Kai someday. He's a far more interesting character than I think people give him credit for. I'm sure that one day I'll delve into his less discussed character traits, but in the meantime, let me know what you think of him. What's your favourite moments of his? And feel free to give me suggestions for shows or characters I should try and cover in the future. It could be Ninjago related, or it could be completely different. I don't really mind. And once again, thanks for watching. Bleh.